When you studied online, have you imagined what problems will happen if you couldn't hear, if you couldn't figure out color, or if you couldn't see? Hello everyone, I'm Nan. Today I want to discuss about the accessibility of e-learning. My presentation will focus on the following four core questions. Let's look at the first one. What's accessibility of e-learning? It's related to the web accessibility. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and added, generally all users have equal access to information and functionality. To take care of students with difficulties and help each student has a fair chance to use e-learning, the law demands the accessibility of e-learning and states the accessibility guidelines. E-learning can provide a large number of opportunities for disabled learners, but there are still various problems that hinder their practical use. A key issue is that who responsible for supporting and implementing e-learning do not take into account the accessibility needs of students with disabilities, especially the performance of adaptive software in the learning process. With this background, let's turn to question 2. What are the accessibility problems of e-learning? At least 4 groups have a stake in accessibility and e-learning. The students themselves, professors who use and implement e-learning in their courses, service providers who provide disability-related service to the community, and the e-learning professionals who provide leadership, choose e-learning for campus-wide use, and provide help and assistance with e-learning. Because of their different perspectives, these 4 groups are likely to have different views. To summarize these views and make recommendations, in 2009, Fitchin and others did an exploratory study with a total of 342 participants, studied or worked in Canadian higher education institutions. The study adopted an online questionnaire survey. Each of the 4 groups had an online questionnaire with basic questions, 3 problems, and how was it resolved. For students, there are an actual question about 3 benefits of e-learning. The results indicate that the most common disability indicated by students were learning disability and mobility impairment. Most students need a variety of adaptive technologies. Most students think they can use their adaptive techniques effectively. There is a need to ensure that these technologies work together. A total of 578 benefits were pointed out by students, with the most common benefit being the availability of online course notes. The most common problems raised by students were lack of access to the website or course management system. The students did not read some of the questions the professor pointed out. Accessibility issues common to all 4 groups are web pages and learning systems, learning materials, limited time, and lack of adaptive technology. And the most common response from all of these groups were unresolved. Some questions are put forward to solve the current accessibility problems, training professors, developing guidelines, inviting experts, and asking students with disability to conduct user tests. From this study, we can know that achieving accessibility of e-learning requires the efforts of many people to solve the problems. Then, how about question 3? How to improve the accessibility of e-learning? Or we can ask, what resources and tools can be used to improve accessibility? Here, I would like to recommend a resource and 2 tools to you. The first is the A11Y project. You may be curious about what is A11Y. The number 11 refers to the number of letters omitted. So accessibility is often rated as A11Y. The A11Y project is an online community of web development resources. The goal of this project is to provide web developers and designers with the resources to website accessibility. Here include an accessible web page and Python library, a checklist to determine how accessible the site is, resources about accessibility software, books, blogs, online tools, and more. These resources can help online course administrators check the accessibility of a website. Web designers follow guidelines, and programmers solve coding problems in web page implement. This resource can help us understand web accessibility and find answers to most of accessibility questions of online learning. Now, about the 2 tools. The first one I recommend is the Accessible Color Palette Builder. It's an online tool to provide accessible color combination suggestions to color blenders. Here, you can edit the color you want to choose. And under there will a suggestion about which kind of color combination you can use. And these unshown color combinations, you couldn't use them because they don't have a good color construct ratio. This means that some people would have difficulty reading them. And another tool is an evaluation tool. Wave is a set of assignment tools that help designers make their web content more accessible to people with disabilities. It can identify many accessibility errors. This tool, I found it can be used to set the accessibility of all web pages. I use it to test the accessibility of my site. And in the results, I saw the alt and add to the images. From my opinion, it's really a good tool to check if we are adding alter text to the website properly. For example, we pointed out that the alter text I have added to my switching images was too long, and I need to reduce the length of the alt. It also could give suggestions of the website structure and the color construct. As we mentioned before, these resources and tools can help us develop the e-learning accessibility. And then, how could we evaluate the accessibility? There already have guides, but in fact, this has not effectively increased the opportunity of students to learn online. Currently, there is a lack of student-centered research data to demonstrate the validity of accessibility guidelines. At the same time, research on accessibility is mainly focused on students with disabilities. Therefore, to improve the accessibility of e-learning for all post-secondary students, including both disabled and non-disabled students, in 2016, Kumar and Austin did a research with 2 questions to be solved. The study provided a 2-unit simple e-learning course. Data were collected using 2 assignment methods. The first used automated accessibility evaluation software to evaluate the web page. The data collected in the way is the result of the automated tools assignment of simple accessibility barriers. Another is a student-centered accessibility assignment. 24 student participants were divided evenly into 4 groups, according the order in which the 2 units were studied and the moderated and unmoderated conditions are. In the moderated condition, the students were recorded by video cameras and had teacher's assistant. Under unmoderated conditions, students studied by themselves and turn off the camera. Students are required to fill out a questionnaire after finishing each unit. Finally, the researchers compare the automated assignment data with the student-centered assignment data and analyze the data under moderated and unmoderated conditions. Results turns out that only one of the participants did not experience a learning disability. So, most students would benefit from developing a way to resolve comprehension barriers. Research data analysis shows that under unmoderated conditions, students were more likely to complete the task and feel more relaxed. But under moderated conditions, students were more likely to deal with difficulties. It's important that there is no similarity between the 2 assignment methods. In conclusion, the data from the 2 cannot predict the subject experience of student participants. Automated tools that follow guidelines are good at identifying technical problems, but may not prevent some types of accessibility barriers. Accessibility is really an essential topic in our instructional design technology field. That's all of my study. Now, let's go back to the 4 core questions. I already got my answers. How about you? Hope my video brings you some ideas. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.